Welcome back to another episode of the AA Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
Brody, big first three games on Saturday. A little disappointing for you. I know, I understand, but let's talk about the NFL games that happened on Saturday. Also today we'll be recording another podcast on the college football national championship games. So make sure you keep an eye out on that and you check that one out on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you for downloading the podcast. And let's jump right into it. The Colts went to Buffalo and took on the Bills. The Colts came up just short, lost 24-27. Talk to me real quick about your thoughts on the game.
That was a tough game to watch. You know what? In the playoffs, the margin for error is just so narrow. And besides the refs, officiating, I thought they were awful. But what it came down to was we were in the red zone. We couldn't come away with touchdowns, and that cost us. And just the errors killed us.
First starting off, I was surprised to see fans in the stands, and there was a lot of fans there. So that's one thing that caught my attention right away. I think the momentum definitely changed at the end of the first half, where like you said, you guys were at the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
and I think the play calling was a little questionable on those 4 downs. Jacoby Brissett QB sneak. I understand that one. Was it Jonathan Taylor, like a pitch outside or something like that?
Yeah.
That's the one that threw me off, because I was like, whoa, like run it right up the middle. You guys had success running it up the middle, but Frank Reich, I guess, figured that he would catch him off guard outside. Talk to me about who stood out in this game, because there was definitely some standouts for the Colts.
I thought Michael Pittman was definitely a standout, man. He just showed that he was the guy from USC. That's what we've been wanting to see all season, and we finally got it. We saw a little glimpse of it in the Packers game, and then against a game with the Tennessee Titans. But I think in this game he really showed it. It was a tough drop that he made in the red zone. Our defense played really good. You know what? For a Bills offense that has so much firepower, we were able to minimize opportunities.
Yeah,
and
they had to work.
Yeah,
Josh Allen, we hadn't seen him run too much this season. They talked about how they wanted Josh Allen to be more of a traditional quarterback, less running. Not put him in those situations where he could get hurt. And the Colts made him have to go and be a runner, and that helped out the Bills a lot there. Another guy who stood out, Phillip Rivers, I thought played a hell of a game.
He played a hell of a game, but there was also some throws that he missed. And like I said, in the playoffs, the margin for error is just so narrow. If he makes that pass to Pittman in the end zone, I thought it was a little too far in front for Pittman. I mean, he was stretched out as much as you can go, and he wasn't able to get a handle on that ball. I thought Phillip Rivers could have made it more catchable for him. But it wasn't all Phillip Rivers' fault. Jonathan Taylor, he also looked really good, but he also had 2 key drops that you just can't drop those. You can't. I think it just came down to errors. TJ Carey gets burned on a seam route by Stephon Diggs, and I mean it looked like it was man coverage. He spends his time looking at Josh Allen while Diggs is all, just burns him for a touchdown. We had avoided that all game, and they caught us sleeping, and that's what happens.
Yeah,
Rodrigo Blankenship misses a field goal that he usually makes. What was it, like a 40-yarder? 40-yarder at best. I mean, he usually doesn't miss those, but you know what? He misses a field goal, and that costs us. So I think all in all, it was just the errors that we were making. It just we can't go to the red zone and not convert for touchdowns.
And we can't. Even with all those errors, you guys still kept it close. It was still a good game. So there's plenty of optimism
But you know what they say about close? No cigar. So, I mean, but I just want to say, you know what? Those refs sucked ass. They sucked.
Yeah,
I want to get that out of the way. It was absolutely awful.
There was a lot of questionable calls.
Especially
at the end of the game.
Everybody has been talking about that Zach Pascal fumble. No, I want to talk about in the first quarter, Stephon Diggs gets a gifted catch, which hit the floor, which was not a catch. And yet the Bills, they snap it, which that's what they're supposed to do. I give them credit for that. That's what one of the greats, Peyton Manning, used to do. He used to try to catch guys on the field, snap the ball really fast. But I actually got a text from somebody saying that, well, actually, T.Y. Hilton got a gift catch. I was like, a gift catch? What are you talking about? It was a fourth. We got called for a fourth down. They didn't call that a catch. They called Stephon Diggs a catch.
It was just the.
So if anything, they owed us that one.
I think the commentators thought that they had caught it.
And then I think that last time out that the Bills were able to get back, I think that was absolute bullcrap. Because if you guys look at that game, look at the commentator after in the post game interview, he said the Bills called a timeout. The booth didn't. They didn't call a booth review first. Mm-hmm. The Bills called the timeout. The booth chose to review it. But if the Bills called the timeout first, they shouldn't have got that timeout back.
And then they used that same timeout to cancel a big play to
Zach Pascal. Yeah, he caught it. He caught it for a good 15 yards. Yeah. And what did he do? They called the timeout, and it was ridiculous. But I'm not gonna blame it all on the refs. Okay, you know what? I accept defeat. We had too many errors, and in playoff football, you just cannot have those errors. You can't.
I think after the season, throughout the offseason, we'll probably talk about each team and their outlook for next year. But I think the Colts in defeat are a team to look out for years to come because their receiving core is pretty young. Their tight end core is good, pretty young also. That offensive line, man, kept Phillip Rivers, gave him time to throw the ball, opened some nice holes for Jonathan Taylor. There was no turnovers in this game, which is something that the Bills pride themselves on. But no turnovers is a positive sign for the Colts. I think there's a lot of good that came out, even though you guys lost. There's still a lot of good to come out of this game, and that QB situation will be interesting next year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we do. I just don't think Phillip Rivers can be the guy to get us to a Super Bowl. I feel like he had his time, and his time is closing quick. You know what I mean? He's a great quarterback still. He still has it in him, but as far as just the arm strength, I feel like the arm strength, the ability to be able to have touchdowns when it counts. He has to have those.
And he's always kind of been like that. Even with the Chargers, he always just seemed to come up short.
There's just no excuse now. You had the offensive line, you had the receivers around you, you had everything else. And I like the way he actually played in this game. He took care of the football. He didn't throw any interceptions, but there was some throws that were off the money. And like I said, in playoff football, you can't do that. Not against a Bills team. And also the same with the coaching was very aggressive, and I think that also cost us. But in the end, I think we had to do that because we felt that the Bills could put on points whenever they wanted.
The Bills were not conservative at all, so you guys had to kind of fight fire with fire.
Yeah, but I feel like we could have trusted our defense more because I feel our defense played really well against the Bills offense that was apparently destroying teams from the get-go. But yeah,
your guys' defense was able to hold them. Josh Allen had a hell of a game. He had to improvise a lot. The defense was all over him. But his legs definitely helped him out because he was able to get Gabriel Davis on the sideline like 3 or 4 times. They just extending plays, running plays. Just his legs helped move that offense when the Colts had answers for everything else. Like I said earlier, they made him into a running quarterback. So for next week, the Bills are waiting to see who their opponent will be. The Ravens Titans will play Sunday morning, and then the Steelers against the Browns will play Sunday night. So they're still waiting to see who they're going to play against. Any last thoughts on the game?
No. Like I said, we came up short, and hats off to the Bills. I just don't think that they're going to make it a Super Bowl. I feel like they have some holes in their team that against a team like the Chiefs, they're going to have to be really careful because they can score whenever they want, and they have just a lot of weapons on that offense, the same as the Bills. But I think they have even better weapons, and I feel like their defense plays different in the playoffs. I feel like their defense really comes alive in the playoffs. So it's going to be a good matchup. I hope we get to see that one.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to
it's going to be a good game.
A Bills-Chiefs AFC title game. Moving on, we had the...
I'm going to take a drink for the depression of losing. All right? I will admit my defeat, but I'm taking a drink.
Moving on in the afternoon game, the LA Rams pulled a huge upset over the Seattle Seahawks. 30-20. LA goes on the road and really dominated this game from the jump. Russell Wilson throws a pick six early. Cam Akers gets going early. And the Rams just seemed to just feed off of that, and they just kept up the pressure on the Seahawks all afternoon. I mean, heck, what'd you think of this game?
I mean, you know what? From the time the game started, I felt like it was going to be a bad game for the Seahawks. I felt like Russell Wilson was not getting enough time. His offensive line was giving him absolutely no time. DK Metcalf was throwing fits on the sideline. And I don't know if Russell Wilson felt the pressure of having to get DK Metcalf the ball.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if DK Metcalf let his ego get to him a little bit to where he felt like, you know what, I'm going up against Jalen Ramsey. I need to prove that I'm the best receiver in football, etc. And I felt like there was times where Russell Wilson had other guys open and he was looking to DK Metcalf, and I think that led to the interception that the Rams got for the was it a pick six actually, or was it just
it was a pick six.
Yeah, it was a pick six, right? And he threw it straight to DK Metcalf, and the Rams read it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be a screen to DK Metcalf, and he jumped the route and took it for a pick six. I felt like Russell Wilson felt the pressure, and I also felt like the Rams' offense wasn't great. I felt like their passing game, with Jared Goff having his hurt thumb, I still felt like the Seahawks, they gave up a lot of big plays in the air and in the run game. Cam Akers, man, he came alive. But I think that was the difference, was Russell Wilson just not having time. I mean, they were letting Russ cook, but we all know what's going to happen. If a cook doesn't have enough time, his food's going to come out raw. And that's what happened. It comes out mushy. I don't care if you could be the best cook in the world. Your food's going to come out raw if you're cooking a patty for 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Or less than 2 seconds, because
it
seemed like he didn't have any time back there. Let's go back and talk about Goff. Before the game, I want to say, yesterday I read a report, this is Friday night, that Goff wasn't going to be the starter, and John Wolford came in and started. He played, 2 series, and then he gets hit hard.
Yeah. I think it was a late hit, but
head.
I think it happens. It's football, and I don't think it was intentional.
Was he running? I didn't.
Yeah, he was running, but it looks like he was about to slide, and the guy came and hit him with his shoulder pad. At first, I thought it was a knee to the head, but apparently it was a shoulder pad.
To the head. Yeah. So he goes out with a concussion. He ended up getting transported to the hospital, and Goff is pretty much just forced in.
Did they say anything about Wolford, if his neck was okay? Or
I
if
just
he
know
was
that,
concussed.
he had a concussion.
Oh no,
They sent him to the hospital for safety precautions.
for further evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Goff is forced in pretty much. I don't know if they were gonna put Goff in or not, but I mean he had to go in, and
It looked like he was ready to go.
yeah, he ended up
They
playing
needed
a
him.
decent game. There was some balls where you could see that his thumb was bothering him.
Definitely, definitely in the first couple throws that he made when he came in.
Yeah, he was definitely off. You could see the ball not spiral out like you'd like. Excuse me. And you know he was able to make some of those big plays that needed to be made, with the Seahawks kind of, you know, starting to bite up on Cam Akers, because Cam Akers was had himself a great game, but he was starting to get rolling in the beginning, and Goff was able to beat that defense over the top. Talk to me about Cam Akers, because I think Cam Akers is starting to show what the Rams, why the Rams drafted him.
Yeah, Cam Akers played a game for the ages, man. He really came alive in this playoff game, and I think they really needed him. Mm-hmm. How much was it more? Was it more Cam Akers, or was it the offensive line of the Rams? Because it looked like they opened a lot of holes for him.
They did open a lot of holes for him. Obviously, you know, when we say Cam Akers, like a running back does depend on his offensive line. Same thing with a quarterback. A quarterback depends on the offensive line.
But he also did really good in the checkdowns.
He hit the holes. He caught some passes. He was able to be that safety blanket for Goff. And he just overall had himself a really good game overall. Yeah. And it's interesting, at least for fantasy football for next year, that the Rams towards the end of the season turned to Cam Akers, and they were like, okay, you know, here's your chance. And he carried the ball well. He carried the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Got some passing work in towards the end of the season, and you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him next year, because it seems like he's a guy that you could give the load to. You know, the majority of the load to, at least. Tyler Lockett had two good catches in the first half and just disappeared after that. Yeah. Don't know what happened.
I'm telling you, I think Russell Wilson felt the pressure
of throwing it to Metcalf.
Yeah. I mean, Metcalf was livid on the sidelines, man. He was throwing a fit. Like, I never seen Metcalf throw a fit.
Mm-hmm. And that's a big guy to throw a fit.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that guy throwing a fit at me. That's for sure.
So looking forward to next week. The Rams are waiting for the winner of the Saints-Bears. If the Saints win, the Rams go to New Orleans and play the Saints.
Yeah.
And if the Bears win, the Rams would go to Tampa Bay and play the Buccaneers. One thing to look out for, or two things, I guess. Goff, see how that thumb is doing. I mean, it could be a little sore after using it a lot today. Two, Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald left. Yeah. They said it was a chest injury. It looked like he could have broken some ribs, I thought at first he had just got the wind knocked out of him because Russell Wilson landed on top of him.
Yeah.
On a sack, but it wasn't a sack. He just took him down. But they were speculating it could be broken ribs also. So we'll have to keep a close eye on Aaron Donald. But the Rams defense was able to get pressure no matter what. I mean,
talk about a freak injury.
Yeah,
you know, the Aaron Donald benches 450 pounds that he's, you know, bouncing off his chest. You know, and Russell Wilson's what, about 195 soaking wet?
No,
maybe 206.
He's probably like 210 or so.
210? Isn't he like 5'9"?
Well, yeah.
5'10"?
Yeah.
Damn, he's 210. He's
probably
about 210.
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Yeah, look that up. I want to know. He's around 200 pounds. I don't think he's anywhere more than 205.
Okay.
But yeah, imagine that, man. Aaron Donald, you know, benches 450. He's bouncing it off his chest, never gets injured. Then Russell Wilson lands on him and he smashes a rib or something, man. Talk about a freak injury.
Right here I have 5'11", 215.
Jesus. 5'11", 215. So man, I guess I'm just used to looking at bigger quarterbacks.
Josh Allen looked like a monster.
Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, they're all tall.
Yeah, and they so we'll have to keep an eye on Aaron Donald, his status for next week. He's a big part, especially if they have to go up against the Buccaneers. If the Bears win and they have to go to Tampa Bay, they're going to have to get pressure on Brady. If if the Saints win and they go to New Orleans, they definitely have to get pressure on Drew Brees. So Aaron Donald is definitely a big piece of part of that defensive line.
I have a new respect for Jalen Ramsey.
Okay.
You know why?
Why?
He did an interview, and I'm not really much of a Jalen Ramsey fan. You know, I feel like he's a little bit of a loudmouth. He's confident in his abilities.
Okay.
But I never really been a fan of him. But in an interview he did, one of the reporters asked him, "How do you feel about your matchup with DK Metcalf?"
Okay.
And you know what Jalen Ramsey said?
What did he say?
He said, "That's what I was here. That's what I was brought here to do. I'm the best corner in all of football. I want to prove I'm the best corner by going up against one of the best wide receivers, and I have no problem doing it."
And, okay, people are going to look at DK Metcalf's stat line and probably be like, well, Metcalf still had a good game. Well,
But see,
you look at the amount of times that he was targeted with Ramsey on him, and, you know, he really didn't do much.
that catch that he had for a touchdown, Jalen Ramsey wasn't covering him.
Exactly. Nobody was covering.
Yeah, nobody was covering it. He actually went for an underneath route. He was open. Well, he actually wasn't open. He had 3 guys on him, but he was able to sneak through the back door, and he just
wide open.
Yeah, Russell Wilson just floated it right up there. But I mean, I gotta respect Jalen Ramsey for that one.
And Ramsey does it to almost everybody.
But
he's been off a couple of times, but you know, cornerback. Aside from quarterback, I think cornerback is probably the most difficult position in football.
But look at what DK Metcalf's been doing to guys like Stephon Gilmore, Darius Slay. What's another big quarter he's faced as of late?
This year,
this year.
Well, I mean, even against Ramsey, like the first 2 times, he didn't do much.
Yeah, he didn't do much. No, but what I'm saying is DK Metcalf. Yeah, he was torching Stephon Gilmore and Darius Slay. But against Ramsey, those 2 times, he just has not been able to get it going. Do you think that might have led to some of the fits he was throwing on the sideline? Just
maybe
being frustrated?
some frustration.
I felt like he could have not let his ego get to him. I felt like he could have played more of a team game and get some other guys open.
Yeah, Tyler Lockett, definitely. I think they need to use somebody like Tyler Lockett a lot more than, you know, a couple targets a game.
He's too good to have a couple targets a game.
Too fast. Then again, Russell Wilson, like we said, had no time. Somebody that we haven't talked about, Chris Carson, I thought he had a pretty good season.
What happened to Chris Carson in this game?
So,
why was Carlos Hyde in here?
Carlos Hyde was in there. Chris Carson was in there, and then they couldn't get anything going.
That's true.
And that's why the Seahawks had to kind of rely on Russell Wilson to try to get them, you know, over the hump and get them in a rhythm. But it didn't work.
I think too, I feel like a momentum changer in the game was when Cooper Kupp got that big catch over Jamal Adams. I felt like Jamal Adams was playing very good football up until that point, and that was a catch that Cooper Kupp should not have made. I felt like that should have been either a deflected pass by Jamal Adams or a pick. And for him to just be off balance and let Cooper Kupp get that catch, I felt like it gave the Rams a lot of momentum and a lot of confidence.
Definitely.
How do you think the Seahawks defense played in this game? Anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, they didn't look good. And they haven't been looking good. All right, we're back. Sorry for that little interruption. And by little, I mean little Alan. Does it look like the camera's lagging? It is. No, it's not. Okay. So yeah, I think the Rams were just able to scheme their way past the Seahawks defense. I think the Seahawks defense really struggled. They just didn't seem comfortable. They couldn't get a turnover. The stops came, you know, there was not as many stops as you'd like.
Yeah.
You know, and with Goff being hurt and they still, you know, struggled. It just, you know, they just seemed off.
They couldn't stop Cam Akers, man. He kept getting first down after first down. I felt like they just wore him down.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Fucking bitch, man. All right, we're gonna move on to the The Tampa Bay Bucks taking on the Washington football team. The Buccaneers ended up winning 31-23 in what ended up being a really close game. Alex Smith ends up not playing. He was ruled inactive earlier in the day. So Taylor Heineke got the start, and he had himself a hell of a game.
Yeah, he played really good. I mean, I was surprised.
I think everybody was. I think Tampa Bay was surprised.
As soon as I saw that Alex Smith was out, I was like, "Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
it's over for the Washington football team."
But no, they were able to move the ball pretty well. Antonio Gibson did not have himself a great game. Well, the whole running back core for Washington did not have a good game. It came off the legs of Heineke, most of the yards. Their defense was able to somewhat slow down Tom Brady. I mean, you see 31 points and you're like, wow, that's a lot of points. But it really didn't seem like Brady was too comfortable out there for too much, you know?
I'd have to disagree with that one. I felt like he was able to just get the ball wherever he wanted in some for big plays. And I felt like the Redskins secondary couldn't. I felt like you have to stop Tom Brady, and I felt like he just didn't have. They couldn't stop the weapons that he had. Mike Evans was getting open. Chris Godwin was making some good catches, and Antonio Brown came alive. Mm-hmm. Even Gronkowski was getting some work, and Cameron Brate. So he was spreading the ball around everywhere. And then Leonard Fournette had himself a great game. Yeah, I mean, I just felt like their secondary. I felt like they didn't get enough pressure on Tom Brady, and playoff. We all know what happens with playoff Tom Brady. If you give him any time, it's pretty much a wrap.
Well, the game was mostly close. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but to me, the game was mostly close. Brady was a little frustrated. There was a lot of drops. Chris Godwin had himself about 3 or 4 drops, so that was something that I think frustrated Brady also. But I didn't see like a dominating performance from Brady. There was drives, yes, drives where Brady was dominating and he could get the ball anywhere he wanted to. His receivers were getting open. Cameron Brate, like you said, Gronk, and Antonio Brown had himself a good game. Mike Evans had himself a good second half. But I felt like the Washington football team was kind of, just doing enough to hang in there. And that sometimes in these games, that's what all you have to do. Taylor Heineke had a chance at the end to try to drive down the field, but he took an unfortunate sack that really took him out of range. It ended up being like 4th and 22. But they were moving the ball. Washington was moving the ball fairly well against this Buccaneers defense. And Chase Young had himself a decent game. Couldn't get to Brady, but he most of the pressure came up the middle. Any last thoughts on this game? There's not much to talk about it.
I felt like the Washington football team was able to hang in there. But at no point in the game was I like, man, you know what? The Washington football team is going to pull this one off. I felt like they were letting too many big plays come from their secondary. I felt like Tom Brady was able to just get too many big throws to Antonio Brown, Mike Evans especially. And I felt like we all know playoff Tom Brady, you just cannot do that.
Yeah.
But hey, for Washington football team playing with a backup quarterback, I mean, I think he played really, really well, and I think he gave him a great chance.
Yeah, he did.
To stay in this game.
He did, and it'll be interesting. I mean, look, we don't want to look forward too quickly, but Washington, what are they going to do? Is Alex Smith going to come back? Is Heineke still going to be on the team? They had Montez, the backup, ready to go when Heineke got hurt. Actually, that was another thing. Heineke got hurt, and he came back, and he's looked like his shoulder was out of place or something.
Do you think Kyle Allen stays on the team?
No,
or
I don't think so. If Alex Smith is there, I don't think so. If Alex Smith does not come back, maybe Kyle Allen because of the Ron Rivera relationship. But yeah, I think Taylor Heineke's made a case for himself being the starter next year because he played a really good game. As for the Buccaneers, next week, like we said with the Rams, if the Saints win, the Buccaneers would travel to the Buccaneers would travel to New Orleans? No, the Buccaneers would go to. Oh yeah, the Buccaneers would go to New Orleans. Sorry, and the Rams would end up going to Green Bay. So earlier I had said the Rams were gonna go to New Orleans. No, the Rams would go to Green Bay. Wait, I'm confused now. No, the Rams would go to New Orleans if no, the Rams can't go to New Orleans, right?
We'll just wait to figure out who goes where.
Okay, well the Buccaneers. I know. I think the Buccaneers. If New Orleans wins, the Buccaneers go to New Orleans, and if the Bears win, the Buccaneers receive the Rams. I think that's what it is. Something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll wait till next week. Any last thoughts on the first day of Wild Card Weekend?
Not really. I think we covered pretty much all of it.
Yeah, I think we did.
Do you have any last comments?
Nah, man. I mean, I thought the Colts played a hell of a game, but the Bills, did enough to get, not to squeak by, I'm gonna say, but to win and to show that they are the second best team in the AFC. The Seahawks just laid an egg. They played really bad, even though they only lost by 10. That game wasn't. It didn't seem like at any time like the Seahawks were gonna come back and win. And then Tom Brady being Tom Brady, I thought Washington kept it close for a little bit, but for the most part, it was Tom Brady who dominated.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of the AA Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for downloading this episode of the AA Sports Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace out, guys.